Hi, welcome to the next channel. So hope many of you know that I do conduct classes. Some feel that I always discuss technical stuff in my sessions, but it is not always the same. It depends, especially when I get some students who are quite old, let it be of my age, around 40 years, or if they are much older, around 45 or something. I do have some students who are much older than me. So we do discuss various sessions, and sometimes I do discuss a lot about motivational stuff, because I often find what they have is immense amount of knowledge. They have there are instances, some also have a company and things like that. It's just not somebody who is seeking only technical aspects. So I do have, but I do have certain sessions with them, especially when it comes the career roadmap, or whatever the next set of objectives in their life. Sometimes eventually the session drifts into something like personality or motivation stuff. See, these are not individuals who are youngsters. They are seen life, they got married, have kids, and also they are at a sort of phase in the life where they have achieved quite a lot of things, but they feel somewhere they have been missing the drive to go forward. So here is where I want to discuss an interesting aspect today. We know that there is a term called alpha male, and you have also beta male. Alpha male is a dominant male. In the animal world or animal kingdom, you always find alpha male. Let it be chimpanzees or something in wild, like tigers or lions. The male will be more dominant. He may have many females, and he sets the rules for that pack, and then the other males also follow them and things like that. So you will have a sort of hierarchical structure. So the most dominant male is the alpha male, and the other male who follows the alpha male or the leader of that pack is the beta male and beta males. So because there are many males who will be beta, who will tend to follow the alpha male. So it's a interesting aspect. I do discuss about this with my students. There is also another classification called sigma male, and if you see, this is where exactly I fall in. I'm more of a sigma male. I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a guy who dominates in a group. Often my old colleagues in the places where I worked and also in my college, they know that I'm not a dominant guy. But myself, if I consider, I'll be more of a disconnect. I don't have much of any I don't much follow anyone, nor I object them in case if the so-called alpha male sets any rules. It's fine. I just see where I can fall in place, so that I don't be someone that I completely don't deny what the whole the societal aspects are. So it is like that. So this is something I thought, let me just explore, so that you can self-discover. The sigma male is a unique individual. If you see, if you think about me, I'm a Piscean by sun sign. So I often drift in a sort of dream world. I often drift myself into some sort of self-isolation. See, this is nothing to do with mental aspects or psychological aspect. This is to do more with the nature of most of these individuals. That includes me as well. I do like to be in self-isolations at some instances of my life. It can be couple of times a month or so. I mean, you find this quite often in many Pisceans actually. It's just not me. Many are the same. If they have family and kids and wife and stuff like that, still they tend to have some time to isolate themselves. It's not something like what you see in the movie Aviator, okay, where Leonardo DiCaprio isolates himself and calls it as a quarantine, and he gets into some sort of psychological complication. It is not that. We tend to be in a much prefer to be in isolated mode, and by doing so I also feel that I am in charge of my stuff. I set my own rules. That's one of the characteristics of a Sigma male. And besides, the herd takes a certain decision to go in a certain direction. Again, I tend to take a different direction or a different approach. It again reflects my technical approach of doing things in my projects. As you have seen, let it be the software architecting or whatever it is, you can see that I do have some unique approach of whatever I do, which is not something industry does as a part of its norm, the packaging of the software and stuff like that, and how I architect and put all the design aspects. Again, that defines somewhat of a characteristics of a Sigma male. If you are an youngster, if you are around 25 years, you need to explore all these aspects. You need to explore about yourself. You just don't need to follow something like a book says or somebody does in your office. You just don't need to blindly do that. You need to self-explore and realize your actual potential. See, you may have something which others may lack. See, if you feel that you could have been that alpha male or something, and if you feel that you are unable to do so, and if you feel discouraged that you are unable to do that, rather than that, you need to discover about yourself and your own strengths, God given strengths, and your abilities and your weaknesses, and your limitations. I have seen they do compare themselves with somebody else, and then they tend to improve themselves, and after a point they feel that they are incapable of something which others are able to do that. And unfortunately this causes a lot of strain in our lives. They compare somebody's pay scale, someone in their office getting a hike, they think that they are unable to get that, and stuff like that. See, this is very, very common. People unfortunately get into some type of a depression like situation. See, they may have everything in their life, but once they start comparing, they get into some sort of initially it starts with psychological thing, and then it can manifest into a physical ailment or a disease. Okay, so that's what. So as a Sigma male, I also can adopt the situations. If anything new comes, sometimes I can quickly adapt. Again, it boils down to my some nature of me. When you think about a Piscean, there are some cases not everyone may suit to get into this type of a thing. I have seen some people generally they don't like any surprises. If there is any new exceptions comes in their life, let it be a job loss or let it be some family issue or something like that, they will have very tough time to cope up, and then they get into depression, and then they get into really serious trouble. These circumstances, as I discuss with the students or sometimes even with my clients, I do see this quite often, happen quite frequently. And now because due to the lockdown and all that, people do tend to get into some sort of a fear. One side is the disease of COVID, one side is the fear of losing their jobs, and one side is also that lack of motivation being at home, and lack of self-motivation, lack of change. Some are okay to be at home and work productive, but some definitely needs a change. They need to go to office and come back to home. They like the cycle of life where they will have a different work atmosphere and different set of people who they can interact and be productive in a professional atmosphere like an office, and they can relax and have fun with their closed loved and dear ones at home, and things like that. So they are quite comfortable having this type of a cycle. So now if you put them into a scenario like this, they will feel again quite demotivated, and that can manifest into some sort of unwanted mental issues. So the next aspect of me again defines a sigma male is I generally tend to avoid any tourist spots. If I travel, I do of course travel, but if I travel, I like somewhere a new unexplored region. It can be very simple place, but it may not be considered as a tourist spot. I like such places because you won't find much crowd. The moment you go to a tourist spot, everyone will be busy taking their selfies and photographs of that scenery and stuff. Unfortunately, what is the thing is, I feel that anyway you can download these pictures. If you go to Taj Mahal or something like that, or let's take Paris. You go there, anyway you will take a selfie, but anyway you will get it online. You can download the pictures. You don't need to take from your smartphone or a camera. Okay, you will anyway get it there. So it is not much for me. If I consider, there is no much fun going to such places because it's already seen, rather than you see with your own eyes. Rather than that, I like to explore some kind of secluded areas where I can spend again time myself. I can contemplate with my own thoughts and get a sort of a reboot of my own belief system and the cycle of life and stuff like that. So again, this again defines the characteristics of a sigma male. See, the why I need to take such a video episode is, it may be something which may match your characteristics, and if it matches your characteristics, you can of course discuss with me in comments what extent it matches. And also there is a clear distinction. All these three categories, let it be alpha or beta or sigma male, more or less it will overlap, but more or less if you see, if you are very dominant and if you have some sort of a fan following, the moment you go somewhere and stuff like that, then you are definitely an alpha male. You are not a sigma male. The moment you define yourself as a beta male, it's almost you need somebody to lead and take in charge rather than you do yourself. See, I'm definitely not an alpha male, and I'm mostly a beta male, but on the other side I'm a sigma male. So this is a better term which can define me rather than any of those couple of terms. Okay, so this is what, of course, a sigma male don't want to break the psychological social aspects, so they tend to do whatever the society needs and expects. I do clothe what the society expects, and let it be the spiritual beliefs and stuff like that. Again, when it comes to spiritual belief, I don't much focus on the religion aspect, because I do consider religion is more of a branded aspect of a spiritualism. So most of us, 99% of us, we follow any religion because by birth our parents are following that religion and we adopt from them. So other than that, it is not taken by our own choice. So 99% we don't follow any religion by our own choice, but we feel convinced because from young age we see all the traditions and rituals. We feel comfortable, this is the religion I like and stuff, so you tend to associate with that religion. But unfortunately, what is happening is, you are not opening up the actual aspect of spiritualism, and you are not getting into the larger aspect of spiritualism rather than confined with some religion, ideology and belief system. So this is again, if you ask me, I don't have much clear distinction of religion. Of course, I follow a certain religion because again, I got it from my parents. But again, I see the larger aspect of spiritualism. I do tend to visit all other religious aspects. I do discuss with various other clients or students from different religions and different community and races and stuff. So again, this I'm not much I don't see anything it is superior or inferior. Each belief system has its own way of life and stuff like that. The moment you think religion, it also teaches you about a certain way of life and the rituals and practices and stuff, the belief system, the moral values, ethics and stuff like that, and besides the other spiritual aspect. So I feel that I need to separate this and try to extract the spiritual aspect and compare how this religion is trying to address the spiritual aspect versus other religions. So I'm kind of open enough, so I don't sometimes associate myself, I'm strict any specific religion as well. So this is one characteristic of a Sigma male. The moment you associate with a specific a belief system, the problem is it sets a boundary around you, and I get a phobia that once I belong to this boundary, I belong to this herd, and that freaks me out. Okay, and you can see even the way I take classes, or I set things in my courses page. You have this lifetime membership. I do have some students who get always confused that what I learn as a part of this, can you cover this, I want to learn this, or can you able to cover this because I want to learn these aspects or something. I generally tell them, see, you are not paying for any specific topics, you are actually paying for a lifetime membership that you can learn anything, which if you think that I am capable of teaching you, and there is no limit for any number of sessions or classes, as simple as that. So I don't want to keep something which is done traditionally, like what is being kept in schools and universities or colleges or institutes and stuff like that, because they just have a specific curriculum and they need to cover that course or syllabus in a set amount of days, and then they charge the money based on that, the effort they put and the resources they need, let it be classrooms, whatever it is, of course the teaching staff, everything, and then they conduct and teach you. Okay, but the problem with that model is it is restricting you, saying that you learn this, you know this, and you don't know this, and you don't learn this. So I don't myself a person who believes in this stuff, so I don't want to much define any set syllabus, because the moment I set the syllabus, it is going to set the so-called boundaries. Of course, there are some people who do love this. I do have some students who are Capricorn and who are Virgo. Recently I got a Virgo student and a Taurus student, and what happens is they generally tend to freak out if you don't give them a plan in advance and then convince them that you come to me, join for a class, and then you get these things in this stipulated period of times, because they are coming from that belief system. They feel that everything in their life have to dealt with a predictability, and they like a sort of a order and discipline in the life, versus if they see something like that, they feel that it is completely chaos and has no order and stuff. But here is my explanation, because I am a Sigma male again. The moment I set strict syllabus and fixed timelines and stuff, what happens is, suppose if I say that I'm conducting classes for 3 months or 6 months, what happens is it may sound good for you, but it kills the creativity. What happens is, I'm forced now to deliver this in that stipulated amount of time, and I'm forced to do only what has been listed in the syllabus. Tomorrow if you come to me asking some other question, I will say that anyway you are not paying money for that, and why I should discuss about that with you. Okay, what is that I'm going to get? So I don't want to get into this situation being a person who wants to be a mentor. See, I don't want to be a teacher like you what always see in school or college. scenario. I want to be a mentor. You can come with any question in your life. My students, sometimes even they discuss about relationships and some their girlfriend issue or something like that. It depends actually. So like I said, if they are young, they discuss about this. If they are old, then they discuss about some motivational topic, and they get some sort of contemplation going on in their heads, and they feel that they can come forward and discuss with me openly. Again, I'm a person, I'm very open to discuss, things like that. I can sort it out, what is that exactly they are going through their brain, and I'll, sort of engage in a conversation where it tries to, bring their thoughts to the surface, because they think certain things in their subconscious minds, and they feel that they are struck with something. So I try to bring it to the surface and discuss openly, because I'm a third person. I just they don't want to fear like they discuss with their parents or something. If it is a situation like a relationships or some sort of past bitter experiences, I do see also somebody who is having a tough time in office. They don't want to discuss with their wife and family, because they don't want them to make them sad, and bring this to the home, and then feel that they are leading to some sort of uncertain life in the upcoming future. So it is very very common that they do tend to talk with me about all these topics. So again, I do discuss these aspects in a much broader sense. I see things in a much different way, so that when I give a certain rational explanation, they feel that okay, they can explore in this direction rather than going with the herd mentality. Hope you learned something new, as most of you are in lockdown period. You are working at home. Take your time and explore various things, and try to discover yourself. I don't say that try to self-motivate. What I'm saying is, try to discover yourself first, and then later you can think about self-motivating yourself. I have seen many cases people are getting into some sort of confusion and depression. Some are having this lack of confidence. Some are fearing whether they may lose a job. Some are not happy about their job as well. So I see various cases. Let it be a person who is just out of college, or a person who is around 45 or around 40 years of age. It is the same across this age group as of now. So try to discover yourself, and in case if you feel that you belong to some kind of sigma male like me, maybe you can discuss about you in the comments, or you can be in touch via mail as well. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope something new, and you felt it is a high time you need to self-explore, self-discover about yourself. Please be in touch. Thanks a lot for joining me. Stay tuned. Have a nice day. Bye bye.